sky, but don't man. Yo, what's good, people? Myself, Man Like Rage, back again with another episode, another video for you lot. Remember to hit the subscribe button, man. Hit subscribe for your boy. You gotta be in it to win it. Today, I want to talk about something I saw online as well, because I feel like in society, I should say what they call I don't want to call it. All right, cool. In the culture, yeah, it seems to be heavily glamorized that, let's be rude boys, let's be gang, let's be bad boys, let's do this, let's do that, and then glorify it online, like talk about it or whatever it is that, however outlet you may feel is a reasonable outlet to use. So that's what we're seeing online. We see all the time in like hood movies, we see it in like music, and we just see it in general online, personalities and certain things, you know what I'm saying? So my thing is, like, obviously growing up over the years, we saw a lot of it in films, and we heard a lot of it in music. Like, I'm a thug, I'm a gangster, I'm this, I'm a that, I done this, I done that, get a man down, shoot, whatever. Everything under the sun, we've heard it before, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, for me, I understand where that type of thing can start to arouse from. Because personally, I believe it all starts at home. Because when I'm seeing and hearing about a lot of stories, people often like to glamorize the fact, I had no dad and this and that and this and that, which is cool. Like, you can tell your story and you can explain why you believe you became a product of your environment. Because that's what happens a lot of the time. Like, you're at home, you haven't got no real male role model at home. So you haven't got that image right where you live in the household. So it turns out to be that you start to look for it elsewhere. You may start to look for it like on road through the older guys that used to live in your area or whatever, and they may be up to no good because they also didn't have the same real role model growing up in their lives. So they had to look to other outlets, which may have been the gangsters, the bad boys, whatever. But what initially they're doing is just projecting. They're projecting the void that they had in their life. So it allows them to go outside and act a certain type of way. Crazy, gangster, bad man, I do this, I need to do this to survive. I have to man up. And they confuse having to grow up and having to man up and turn into a man with being a gangster, being a bad boy, being a rude boy, when it's not necessarily that. In my eyes, it's not that. Because, like, I know guys that have grown up, yeah, without a male role model in their house, and they haven't necessarily turned to that. So my point is it's easy for you to be influenced if you don't know what you're supposed to be looking at. That's what I'm trying to get out. That's what I'm trying to say. If you don't know what a real male role model is supposed to be, you're not going to know and be able to differentiate the two between a man who didn't have that, so he's just gone off the rails because there was no taming, there was no government in the household, like there was no governing. Now he's just acting a lunatic. And because he goes home and he gets away with so much, he thinks it's all right to behave like that. And then they label it as gangster, bad man, rare tear tear. Like, I'm going to play you this clip that I saw online from the RTM podcast. Because what I've noticed is that so much people live a certain type of life over the years, and they grow up and they say, do you know what? Even though I lived it, it's not the right type of life to live. And they've been convinced it's so cool to glamorize it. But really and truly, it is not cool. Look at this clip.
Agree.
Would you say Pablo Escobar is a gangster?
Would I say Pablo Escobar is a gangster? He wasn't a gangster. He could be seen as a gangster, but that's not what he stood for.
Would you say he's a gangster, though?
Would I say he's a gangster? No, I'd say he's a mobster.
What do you think?
Who would you call a gangster then?
No,
I would call him a gangster. He
asking-
was in a gang.
That's
Exactly
fine.
my point.
yeah,
No,
I
so
would
he would
so
call
as
him a
well.
gangster.
Yeah,
You
I
wouldn't.
think so,
That's fine.
So it's-
But
So
I'm
there's no
asking-
definition for
That's
gangster then.
fine.
Yeah.
But I asked you, what do you call a gangster?
I don't know. I don't care.
So then that was back to my point. How can you say what a gangster isn't?
I can
if
tell
don't
you
know
what
a gangster is?
I can tell you what a gangster was 10 years ago.
I hear you.
What was
I
a
can
gangster
tell you what a
10
gangster
years
is
ago?
today.
Right, I have to say that then. What was a gangster 10
A gangster is, what a gangster is today is someone who just basically live up to their words and backs their chats and is able to stand on business in any given circumstance in life and is able to be a man as well. That's very important. That's what a gangster is, in my
Nothing to
opinion.
do with being a gangster. That's just to be being a man.
Are you looking at it from the streets perspective, or are you looking at it from life perspective? Are you looking at it economically or streets wise?
I'm looking at it from the what a gangster is. The
Can you
dictionary.
get a broke gangster?
No, can you get a broke gangster?
Yeah.
Well,
Of course you can.
You can't.
You
can.
can't. Shall I tell you why?
Why not?
Because gangster, like I said,
And Lisa, what do you know?
Okay, no, but wait.
Not in her-
okay,
not
go
in
on.
her
Go on.
definition
of a
Okay,
gangster, you
okay,
can.
wait. Go on. You go on. Go on.
Do you think sperm
In
was
her,
in, Ye-
no, in her
in
definition of a
Yemen?
gangster, you
Okay,
can.
say your
Or Somalia,
definition of a
Yemen,
gangster.
or whatever the fuck
No,
she
I'm saying
said.
in my
say-
definition of a gangster, yeah, you can be a broke.
I think you can be a broke gangster.
In my definition of it.
Anybody in this room say they are a gangster?
Are you going mad thinking
you say you're a gangster?
thinking I weren't a gangster or thinking I weren't thinking I was a gangster when I didn't have no money, but I had two.
Would you say you're a gangster now, or would you say you were a gangster before?
I'll say I'm a gangster all my life.
Would you agree that he's a gangster right now?
You credit.
Chronic constipation.
Well, wait. Let me answer.
No, he asked me.
He asked me.
He asked me.
Okay.
Would I say
Okay.
he asked me?
No,
I know what he asked.
actually
You
asked
just
him.
asked me, would I say
So you're
he
gonna
was a
tell him what he
gangster?
said?
No.
He asked Chronic.
Would you?
Would he say
would
he
you
was a
agree?
Oh,
that you're a
oh,
gangster?
yeah.
Oh.
Chill out.
I thought you were saying that to
Yeah.
me.
So he asked me if you was a gangster.
okay.
Would you agree?
Yeah, no. I would agree, yes.
I thought you was asking me to him.
So you are saying that Pablo Escobar is not a gangster,
No,
but
you're-
Young Spray is a gangster. Are you taking the
No,
fucking piss here?
no, stop that.
You're going to fucking piss me off now. You're pissing me off now.
No, the
Pissing me the
words
fuck
on my
off
mouth.
now.
Mad, innit?
I don't mind.
You're pissing me off. Chronic, you're pissing me off now.
Okay.
So, my point is, yeah, it's like they're talking about, are you gangster, are you gangster, are you gangster? But when other things are said, man are like, no, why for that or why for this or whatever, because they label it as wrong. But why do you want to sit down and say, I'm a gangster? Why do you want to say, I'm a bad boy, I'm a rude boy? Knowing deep down, it's not necessarily the right type of message to be sending out, because you don't want your children to grow up, your sons, or even your daughters to grow up and be able to claim that same type of lifestyle, that same statement. You don't want them to be able to say them same statements. I wouldn't want my son to grow up and say, yeah, I'm a gangster, I was a gangster, rare tear, I did this, I did that, I went to jail. I don't want my son to ever say any of those things. So where do we draw the line where we say, you know what, that is actually not cool, let's stop glamorizing it. Let's stop saying and be so happy to being so proud of, I'm a gangster, I'm a bad boy, I'm a this, I'm a that. I sold drugs, ruined someone's lives because they had an addiction and I was benefiting off of that. Like let's actually call it out for what it is, because realistically it is not cool. None of it is cool. And now let me play this next clip.
To anyone watching this, going in prison is not clever. Yeah, it's not something we rate. Like we be in prison, so we can have this joke and chief and this that. But honestly, I would rather have been a chief and not gone to prison. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If that's what it means to not go to
More
prison.
things in your
Yeah.
advantage
If that's
now.
what it means to not go to prison, that I'm a chief, I would have rather grown up as a chief then. Like, I just don't want people to get our jokes confused, innit? Like, man's a maniac. Man's been... So, the jokes we have is just jokes.
Only the chief at chiefy.
No, but I know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Alright,
I don't
team.
want people seeing this and thinking, oh, if we don't go joke, because we've got to be very careful as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because people are watching, innit? And we don't want them to think, oh, well... Because they rate us. Let's have it right.
well.
They don't not rate, man. So I don't want them to think, oh, if I don't go jail, Spray thinks I'm a chief, or no, this is jokes. This is how man grew up. I'm not even trying to make my son go prison.
And that is exactly my point. That right there is my point, because so much man have lived gangster lives over the years, and now that they've got children of their own, they got sons. They say, oh, I would never want my kids to grow up like how I did. I wouldn't want my kids to experience what I did. I wouldn't want them to go through what I went through, jail and all of these things. Because overall, deep down, they know that it wasn't cool. It's not cool. But we're still at a stage where we like to glamorize this gangster life, this bad boy thing all day long, every day. I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a G. Where really and truly, no gangster that I've ever seen from back in the day has now grown up and left that life behind and said, you know what, yeah, I want my kids to live that life. They all say that same thing. So we need to wisen up. We need to understand that that whole image was created to destroy us, to tear us apart, to tear us down. And one day, everyone's going to have to wake up and realize we need to stop pushing this message. We need to stop being a part of this whole agenda. Because it doesn't benefit us in any single way, shape, or form. It benefits none of us. So overall, all you youths coming up now on the roads, growing up, and you think you need to be indulging in this type of lifestyle or be a bad boy or be a certain type of way because you think it's cool, you've been brainwashed. You've actually been brainwashed. Deep. You need to be reprogrammed, reconditioned, and understand that is not a normal way of life. Like, you do not have to be a product of your environment. I grew up in the ends. I saw it all. I've been to parties where man are pulling out machines. Did I feel like I need to go out and now start doing that and living that type of lifestyle? Not at all. And I never want to do that. And I never want to be a part of that. And I would never want my children or any of my family members to be a part of that. Because it only ends up in certain ways. If you don't get out quick enough, it's going to get you out. And that's the reality of it. With that being said, myself, man like Rage, you don't know, God is the greatest. Your mouth, that's too much west. Grab it and stack it and grab it. Bro boy, wear no bro boy hair. Yeah, I'm a nice guy, but don't mad me, they too west. But they can't act